Okay, so welcome back to the Quilt-A-Long. This is Michelle from Seems Like Quilting. The next step, so we have done our arrows already. So we have our Boho Baby pattern here. We've already done our arrows, and our next step is to do these zigzags and then this border. And it's hard to tell kind of from the pattern, but the way that these zigzags are achieved in this pattern is by pairing two flying geese. So if you see kind of the flying geese along the bottom here, that's simply a row of flying geese with the pattern fabric down. Remember, all the grays, we're doing all of these grays in the same color chambrays as we did on the feathers on the arrows. So but we're gonna put a row of these facing downward, just like this. And you see how that creates that, oh, no, facing this way. There we go. And that creates that bottom edge. Do you see that? So it just kind of creates that, that bottom kind of bracketed edge. But when we get to the zigzag here, we're actually going to use the same pieces. So here's our same flying goose. And then we're going to put one with the background, and the foreground flipped like that. And when we do that, that's going to give us our zigzag. So we're going to do that for multiple pieces. And you can see if I add a pink one here, that'll give us our zigzag all the way across. So I was kind of thinking, did I want to do it the way the pattern did it, where it did these zigzags in different patterns, or did I want to do it a different way? Did I want to do, because there's 3 stripes of the zigzags and then there's 2 stripes of this, and I had 6 colors, but enough fabric for 5. So I was thinking maybe I would do this all in one color, but then as I got cutting, I realized that I didn't actually have enough fabric left to do it that way. So I am going to mix and match them, and I have a whole stack here, already made. The thing with flying geese, so there's a lot of different methods to make flying geese. And if we think about, you know, there's several popular ones, and you can look all of them up. There's some where you take a whole square and you put 2 squares face to face and cut, and sew the whole square on the outside, and then trim and cut and flip and all of that. I went with a really basic method where I would just cut a rectangle and then two squares, and then you put 1 square on top, so flip, and then the other one here. The kind of trick with flying geese is that a lot of times when people sew them together, and they kind of cut the point off, like they'll cut the point off right here, or it'll be too big. And kind of the secret to that is that when you make flying geese, you want to make them and then trim them so that you have a 1/4 inch between the tip of your triangle and the edge. And then when you do a 1/4 inch seam or a scant 1/4 inch seam, you want it to kind of sit right like here, so that when you flip that seam and press it, it'll press so that you have a nice sharp point. You haven't cut off your point like that, and you don't have extra fabric like this. That's kind of the trick with getting flying geese to kind of line up nice, is to make sure that you've trimmed this to a nice 1/4 inch. The same thing over on the edges. You want the ends to be all the way to the end, so that when you sew a 1/4 inch here and then along the bottom, you are still keeping this nice crisp corner there. I know it looks like my nails are dirty, but they're not, I swear. So all that to be said, there's a lot of flying geese in this pattern. So I hope you like them. There's a ton of different methods. The pattern has a really straightforward cutting, flipping method, but if you would like to try a different method, you can. Can't promise there's going to be enough fabric to do another method, though. That's kind of the trick with flying geese. Like, if you have a particular method that you enjoy doing, you want to make sure that you're going to have enough fabric to properly do that method, or that the number of flying geese that you need is going to be divisible by whatever you're going to get, so that you have enough of everything in the end. So that's kind of our next step. So I've got all of the flying geese made. You can see I have some that that have a seam down them, and that's because I ran out of fabric of a color that I wanted. So I pieced together a couple of squares to make the rectangle. By the time the whole thing is together, you won't notice, but that's why some of these have a seam down the middle. But like I said, by the time I piece the whole thing together, you won't even notice. But that is the next step of Boho Baby, is to make those flying geese. And then once you've made them, we're gonna start putting them together into a rose.